if we live in an illusory reality, we have to bear in mind that all the concepts that we experience, the icons that we see, right, have been reversed. The icons of liberation have been reversed into evil. The swastika, evil. The Holy Cross, right, is just the swastika, right? And that's evil. It's an evil sign. Philosophies are evil. Any philosophy that isn't institutional religion is evil. And the words that we have aren't enough to express our situation, right? If the reality that we exist in is an illusion, then the words that we have to express our situation, our condition, are never going to be enough to liberate. Words aren't enough, so we have to think our way out. Peace and love, viewer. Peace and love, spirit. Peace to you. In all of the religions, you know, thousands of people get together and they listen to the words of somebody who is reading the words of somebody else. And those words were written about a person who had a visionary experience. Now I'm talking about like saints, you know, saints, messiahs, prophets, right? Visionaries, mystics, sorcerers. They went to a place outside of this place, which we didn't know about, and then came back and told us that such a place exists and such an experience exists, right? If you push the limits of certain things, if you push the limits of meditation, push the limits of isolation, if you push the limits of the consumption of sacred substances, for example, mushrooms, which grow out of the ground, psilocybe cubensis, right, and the psilocybin in which it contains, magic mushrooms, right? Magic mushrooms have always been with us and will always be with us, and they're there to show us that there's another side. Humans have created compounds which also show us the other side, right? Ecstasy, MDMA, methylene dioxine methamphetamine, LSD, lysergic acid diethylamide, ketamine. I don't know the chemical name of ketamine. It's really long. With the right mind, with the right intention, you can see what I've seen, right? And I want to guide you towards that, because people come to me on the street and they say, Jesus came to me. I used to be a drug addict. Jesus came to me, and now, you know, now I'm much better, right? And that's brilliant. But then they tell me, you know, you have to give up everything you believe and follow Jesus because it did good for me and it's going to do good for you. And I say no, because I need all of the spiritual forces that are helping me. I need the scribe of the universe to help me scribe about the universe. I need Ishtar, the goddess, right, for protection, for spirit, for oneness, for knowledge, for illumination. Kali, the destroyer and creator, the destroyer of ego. We have to have our egos destroyed before we can liberate. Liberation is the destruction of ego. We conform, but we need visionaries to break out of that conforming situation, and so this is why we, you know, follow the words and the actions of people like Jesus or Muhammad, Moses, Abraham and beyond, the Buddha, Lao Tzu. Right, we need these people, and these people, what did they do? They broke out, right? They broke out, and that involved breaking the rules a bit, right? A lot, completely. Smashing them to bits so that nothing means anything anymore, right? And we are, you know, okay, we're guilty of breaking the rules, and therefore society can judge us, right? What if you can't get to the truth without society? You can't get to the truth and be loved by society. What about that, right? What if the truth means that people will judge you for being, in my case, right, a drug taker? Okay, nothing I will allow will get in the way of the truth, right? Not family, friends, not job, not society's judgment of me, right? I meditated against my society's wishes because I live in a Christian society, so I found meditation. I meditated for years. I prayed out for vision, which is a pagan thing. It's what the North American Indians do, right? And against the conventions of my society, I ate mushrooms and I ate ecstasy, and I took ketamine. Not in the same experience. I took mushrooms once a year, every year. As I meditated every day. Important Barefoot Doctor's Guide for the Urban Warrior, right? The daily meditation, scooping the loop, which we'll go into in a following video, is a daily meditation, right, where we're encouraging the building of our psychic egg, a kind of golden egg which surrounds us. It protects us. It also gives us good opportunity. Comes to us. We attract good opportunity and we repel bad situations and badness. It's important to create that protective place for your cosmic journey, right? Because we are looking for lots of thoughts to come to us, pregnant thoughts which are just requiring a vessel, right? But there's all kinds of thoughts out there, all kinds of negative stuff too, so we need to only bring the good in and repel the bad. So it's part of the practice, right? So yeah, the ancients can find it, we can't. It's against the rules, right, of our society. It's peculiar, and the more you follow, the more you will see that reality doesn't want you to find the truth, and all of the tools that are required to get there are against the rules, against the law, against society, against something or other, right? So in this exploration, I found a peculiar dichotomy between male and female gods, in that the ancient gods previous to monotheism, they frequently featured the motif of the serpent, which, as we know in the monotheistic world, the serpent's always kind of negative and bad and evil. But in the ancient world, the serpent is a liberator. I'm thinking of Kundalini spirit, which is the spirit of liberation. So in the Gnostic belief, God is the creator of an illusory reality which traps us, and the serpent is the liberator, of which the apple is the light of illumination, which the serpent gave to Adam and Eve. Ancient Egypt, the snake was the bearer of knowledge. The Ouroboros, the snake eating its tail, right? Meaning continuation, right? Rotational momentum creates stability in a chaotic environment. And this is why things tend towards cycles. So life and death is a cycle. And we are empowered by knowing that. So the icon of the serpent, the motif of the serpent, isn't traditionally a bad one, right? It's just that monotheism, it concreted over much of paganistic sort of concepts, right? Making them evil and wrong. It's very interesting that the serpent became the worst thing in the world, an agent of the evil machinations of evil. It's ironic because it's an absolute imposition and rewriting and whitewashing by monotheism to create a narrative where the serpent is evil and bad, when in all other traditions preceding it, the serpent was a thing of liberation and salvation, the bearer, the bringer of light, of gnosis, I presume because it can slink in between the bars of a prison-like illusion. Why is the physical like an illusion? Well, even monotheism believes in heaven. If heaven is the ultimate reality, then this is the illusion, right? If we are striving to get to a place of heaven, then we must realise that this place of physical experience, this place of presumed duality and polarity, which forces us one way or the other, forces us to pick a side and war against the other for the rest of eternity. It isn't all that there is to be, actually. You know, there is more to experience than this life, right? We are beings that experience many lives, many experiences, right? So when I found the light, when it came to me, I was 19. When I begged for vision for the light, I was probably 2 years younger, let's say 17, 16. And when I first started meditating, I was about 14, right? I was about 14 when I got into meditation. Probably about 15, 16 probably when I started begging for vision, begging all spirits for vision. I beg the Great Spirit for vision. Great Spirit, I beg you for vision. The four winds, north, east, south, west, I beg you for vision. And I would beg for vision in each direction, right? All spirits, Allah, all, perspectives of all spirits, right? The Jewish God or gods, all pagan gods, right? Of this pantheon, of that pantheon, the Hindu pagan gods, the Scandinavian pagan gods, right? The Brittonic pagan gods. All things I pray to and I beg for vision for who I am and what I am, right? And nothing happened. And again I tried and nothing happened, and I tried it and nothing happened. And again and again and again I'm trying and nothing's happening, right? But I'm just persistent and I'm just putting momentum into it. And all through the while, I'm wanting to experience the mushroom experience, right? That's important to my awareness of things. Throughout my growing up, various things were important, tribal things, right? I'm just trying to sort of tell people that might not have had quite a sort of tribal-minded upbringing, that it's hallucinogenic substances like mushrooms, acid, ayahuasca, San Pedro, these are things that can show us power and magic of our spirit. They show us that there's a spiritual reality which underpins the physical reality, right? The physical reality underpins the spiritual too. They are both in unison, they are both two sides of one coin. Creator gives life and energy to all things, not just the good, to the mosquitoes, to the thieves, to the evil, to the dictators. He gives everyone the same right to live and the same energy, right? And we must do the same with our logic, with our logicking, right? We must give all things the same right to philosophy, right? We should explore things. Truth doesn't have to be not all fun. All of these experiences, utter fun, joy, like childish, sort of simple, innocent joy. That's why I hate people bad-mouthing them and painting them with the same brush as heroin and things, because it's pretty, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, it's luscious, right? Mushroom experience I'm talking about. And so anyway, when I saw the light, I hadn't even taken mushrooms. I hadn't even taken a hallucinogenic substance, right? So for Ket, that's hallucinogenic slightly, and ecstasy is slightly hallucinogenic, but they're not specifically hallucinogens, right? That's like a kind of secondary effect that you won't always get. Also, it was half my life ago. I was approaching 20, now I'm approaching 40. And it's taken all this long to really process it, right? It's an incredible moment. It wasn't just a hallucination. It was something like enlightenment, but it wasn't enlightenment evidently, because the Buddhist enlightenment is like the Buddha won from meditating to that place, whereas I, half meditated and half took substances, right? So, but what's interesting is that, throughout time, visionaries, mystics from all religions all around the world have all found variation of the light, the inner light. It was on my 19th birthday is when it happened. Right? And previous to that, I'd got into Tai Chi. And so got together with some friends around my house and around my mum's, and we got some ecstasy and we had some ketamine. And we took some of both, and I had the kind of impulse to do some of the Tai Chi that I'd learned with my two boys, right? Two mates. You got your feet spaced like they're on railway tracks, and as you breathe, right, your entire posture goes up. As you breathe down, settle. You do this again. And you do it again and again and again. It's just like a very beginning part of Tai Chi movement. I got my friends to do it. My buddy, who's utterly unspiritual, he goes, "There's so much energy in the room, I'm going to take a box down, right, downstairs where we've generated so much energy." He said that he saw, I got him to draw it, and I'll show the picture right now. He saw green lasers coming out of my fingertips, man. Out of all of my fingertips. Rush around the room, pour out of a hole in the wall into another dimension, which was like kind of flowing kind of hills, almost like Mongolia or something, right? It's totally weird. It's totally weird, and that was the start of a weird evening, right? I mean, I think just before that, there was another friend there, right? Anyway, his brain broke, and he couldn't stop apologising for some reason. And he left. He's like, sorry guys. So you don't have to apologise, man. Yeah, I'm sorry about apologising. You don't have to apologise. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. It's so funny, right? And he was just like, I'm just going to have to go, guys, because I just feel like I've done something wrong. Like, you haven't done anything wrong. Like, you're alright. Hang out. Like, no, I've got to go, man. I feel weird. Like, it was weird. He went. And looking back, I think, he was... If all of our spirit brothers, if all of our higher spirits were there bargaining over the situation, I think his just willingly said, the rest of what's going to happen tonight is not going to really impact me, not really going to, and thus we'll get him out of there, because the rest of the evening was flipping weird, man. I mean, it was flipping weird. Later on in the evening, I go for a pee, and so I'm having a leak. And I get this sort of like impetus, again, this kind of intuition to just relax everything, relax all things. And I've got my eyes closed, and there's movement, right? And my intuition says, relax your eyes, right? And so I'm relaxing my eyes in the way that I've done in my meditations, where I can sort of see something stirring, right? It's like clouds, and there's a faint, dim light behind the clouds, right? And I just get this sense of like I have to relax everything in my body, and it's just while I'm at the loo, right? Because I'm taking a leak, and relax even that, right? Relax everything, relax my bladder, relax every part of my body, right? Suddenly I get this peculiar sort of thing in the bottom left-hand corner of my vision. It's a bit like a kind of device, a bit like a kind of black and white, like a box or a small device, small hand-sized device, but it's in my vision. But my hands, in my mind, grasp it, and they go, oh, that's easy. You just click that, turn that, twist that, click that in at the rear, rotate that, click that in, pop, and then there you go, and then bang, right? The vision, like the clouds sort of cleared. It was like a box. If you're familiar with Hellraiser, I think it's called Le Marchand box. Just like that. I'm certain that Clive Barker got the idea from the same source, right? Or whatever showed him the same thing. A kind of psychical device which exists in our spirit. And when I manipulated it, it was the same kind of muscle memory as a gamer entering a cheat code into a controller of a games console. The way you kind of you have to manipulate all of your fingers all at the same time in a particular kind of dance of, organised, it has to be a specific code of buttons and presses and things that you do. But my intellect, my instincts kind of just knew. I've never seen this thing, this box. I've no idea what the hell it's all intuition. It was all something that some other side of me took care of, right? So whatever I'm saying about this, it can't be learned. There's something about it that can't be learned. There's something about it that, like, our spirit has to kind of intuitively take over. Our physical body has to intuit to the point of getting the spirit to intuit. But I tell you, man, the clouds cleared. And it wasn't just the light there. The light appeared from behind a massive great black planet in the blackness of space. Blinding light. And as I gaze, it's not one planet but two. The light kind of comes from two planets, from behind two planets, right? And as the two planets de-align, the light kind of illuminates the crescent rim edge of each planet, describing a kind of X shape, familiar in runes in the proto language of the Venka people, which have only just been kind of recognised. All runes and all kind of iconographs of the things that I experience, right? Leading us to believe that the symbols that I experience are common, right? Not just, I took some ketamine and ecstasy and I saw some stuff and there we go, special me. No, I'm saying this because in that experience I connected with a collective experience which people have had since flipping, you name 1,000-year, period, and we were eating mushrooms and seeing these things. And now in this current modern world, they're illegal and immoral, right? Well, therein lies a bit of a trap, right? The tools of our transcendental awakening are illegal and immoral. So you won't ever be able to grasp the tools for your transcendental awakening if you want to follow the rules and the mores of society, right? We can't learn about these things. We cannot see the same things that the Venka people saw, or the ancient Scandinavians, or the ancient Bretons, or any ancient people, right? When they ate mushrooms, or ate sacred vine, or ate sacred cactus, right? You see sacred things which people for all time have seen. And that's sacred. And I'm not prepared to be feeling immoral or bad for being a visionary person with the absolute desire, the thirst to know what lies the other side of Plato's cave. Right? We are in a cave of our ignorance. We've been told what is real. What is real? Not what we've been told. But what we've been told is not the fullness of what is real. What is real cannot be told. It can only be experienced, right? Losing the light a bit, eh? But the light is inside. And that's the beauty of it, man, is that when we find that, we find the source. If you can find the source of information, you don't need a holy book. You don't need holy people. You are holy. You are the holy person. Be the saint. Be the Messiah. Find it in yourself. Find the God in yourself. It lies the other side of our ego. So, I kind of realised that when I watched the light, you know, and the symbol of the X and the sort of cross and the runic symbols that you see, that I saw, I thought, wow, you know, that is common experience. Anyway, just as I thought that, we zoom in to one of the crescents, and starts turning golden. I start seeing the plains. I start seeing sort of, you know, golden plains, right? Plains in flat territories. And on these plains, I see myriad creatures, right? In fact, they're all lined up, all in little lines, right? All like in height order. And as you look closer, they're all different types of animals. Some which you know, some which you've never known, right? Some which look like a combination of things. Some things look like a combination of things that you've never seen, right? All kinds of weird things. I mean, you know, horses, zebras, zorses, you know, hebras, you name it, right? There's everything. Elephants, tigers, lions, boom. The more you look, the more fascinating it gets, right? I'm seeing the myriad creatures, all life. Wow, I'm being treated to an extravaganza of visualization, right? It's showing me all life. It's incredible. I'm so touched to see this sort of manifestation of life creation right before me. It's fantastic. And you know, that vision went by the wayside. It was years later, it was about 4 years ago, that I actually saw what I actually saw. It exists. It's called a Scythian gold pectoral. It's an ancient Assyrian Babylon. Anyway, it was kind of like the earliest civilization, one of the earliest civilizations. Anyway, a few years ago, I get really interested in, for no reason at all, I get the word Ishtar come into my head. You know, Ishtar, and I don't know why. But anyway, Ishtar pops up into my life, and for some reason I find myself researching Ishtar, and I find a lot of commonality in the belief structures of those that venerated Ishtar. And so I sort of began venerating the reality as a sort of female thing. And I believe it's a female thing because of partly the mushroom experience, right, which is so raw, right? It's kind of scary at times, but very beautiful. So it's sort of like a rose, where it's kind of like a very beautiful thing to look at, but you can't own it, and it is wild, so you can't tame it. You can't hold it like a rose, like you can't hold a rose, right? Because it's got thorns. And you know, the mushroom experience will show you like the rawness of nature. It's so beautiful, it's so incredible, but it's so raw, and it can, you know, it can blow you away, right? It can absolutely shock you and wow, take your breath away, right? And so I believe, you know, that the universe is inherently female because it's very beautiful, but it's very avaricious. It's very kind of it's kind, but it's kind of cruel sometimes, right? It's very nurturing, but at the same time it's got a coldness to it, and it's got barbs, right? It's got thorns, it's got nails, it's got claws, but it's beautiful and it's sacred, and I love it. But I'm aware that it's a thing of its own right. It's a wild creature. So that vision, it showed me, it pushed me towards Ishtar, and that's weird. And through writing about all of these things, I'd have other connections. Thoth would come into my mind. I blissfully welcome such a presence. I feel so honoured of that. Spirits are helping me and will help you. So many weird connections which happened as a result of that vision. Just even ones that I'm still piecing together today. I was reading a book the other day, Tantric. It's from the Tantric philosophy that we get the belief in Kundalini spirit energy, which is the kind of light of awakening, which I believe I experienced. I didn't, I wouldn't have recognised it as Kundalini anything at that point. But reading about this thing, it's something that exists in all of us, which can be awakened. And the Tantric people, though, were against the conventions of the current climate. So I'm against I'm all about challenging conventions, our social conventions. The old Christians speak about the Ophilim, which are kind of they're kind of angels. They're an order of angels which, when you see them, they come to you like light, like seraphim, light. But these are like a big eye with light, right? And when I saw the light, it came to me like an eye. It's like an eyeball with a permanently kind of opening eyelid in space. Vibe I had. I have a vision of rolling hills with woods, like fir woods, like German Black Forest, Dark Forest, hinterland, I don't know. But rolling pine woods, rolling hills, and on the nearest hill there is like a bandstand. It's a temple. It looks like a bandstand, but it's got only 3 pillars, and we observed 3 crows flying past. So 3 is obviously significant, and so there's something about the image of the temple as it has a kind of dome. My mind, and this isn't something that I saw, but my mind had the idea that, well, that shape, imagine that shape above it, I'm just drawn towards the idea that topography, that temple, is representing touching another temple in another temporal zone. Perhaps other universes, perhaps other realities, perhaps other timelines. But you'll see in the artwork that I show you now, what I'm trying to get across. And what is it trying to show me in that? I believe that it's connected to these 2 planets in this vision. These 2 planets. I've been racking my brain about what are these 2 planets. I believe that they are, 2 functions of the same universe or realities. Temple building is important in Tantra. I mean, I didn't know about Tantra until recently, until this year, the Tantra philosophy. And Tantra is all about the female, the divine female, breaking the laws of society to get to the truth is important in Tantra. So it's no wonder that my pathway kind of opened the possibility of contact with goddesses of Tantra, because I was open to their way. We need to give license to higher intelligences to come into our life. This is why we ask them. This is why we beg for vision, because otherwise they won't come to us. You know, we have to be a good vessel. We have to be the perfect vessel. So, what is it of monotheism that is male, that is a reaction to the divine female? There is a lot to be extrapolated from this. For example, institutionalized conduct and actions and thoughts, prayers, invocations, whereas the sacred female, the ways of the sacred female that predate monotheism, you know, were more open, more about liberation particularly. Everything that is in Christianity and Islam basically is the reversal of what came before in the sacred female disciplines, right? There's a peculiar sequence of connections relating to the sacred female, the imposition or the kind of banishment or cultural concreting over of what once was with a new faith. So, you know, 2,000 years ago, a new faith was being assembled, and it literally was simply a response to the hedonistic, heathen ways of paganism which went before. And I do understand that, because many pagan rituals weren't right, you know. We know that it's not right to go sacrificing others in the community, right? And it drew people away from paganism and into monotheism, which provided a promise of eternal salvation at the end, right? Now that's going to sound pretty nice to people, you know, Neolithic people, right? Ankle deep in the mud, sacrificing their flipping newborns. You know, it's no surprise that people got fed up with that. It really isn't. But it became like everything that was has to be dismantled, and we have to, you know, ride roughshod over it. We have to pave over it. And what happened is we paved paradise and put up a parking lot. We have sort of dismantled a sacred set of rituals, beliefs, and so on, which empowered us in an ancient world and has disempowered us in the modern world, because we've created this paradigm where we have to follow whatever the priest says, right? The priest is God, is the representative of God, and it's going to disseminate everything that is in the book, which is the God's book. However, you are free. No God will judge you for having other beliefs or experimenting with other beliefs or taking on a variety of philosophies, right? My philosophy is a patchwork of every philosophy that is, and it makes my worldview broader than most, because people narrow and narrow and narrow their perspective until it's flipping like that. And then whenever anything new or novel comes around, they refuse to accept it because it goes against their worldview, which is extraordinarily narrow. So, have visions, break the doors down, bust the walls of perception open, right? Protect yourself, do it safely, do it in a small way first, and work your way up when you're ready and you feel like you need to, right? Pursue it all. Build temples for small gods and forgotten spirits. Reconnect with old spirits. Be open to it all, because I was open to that experience. I did what was necessary to open my mind. I found the light of truth, which is something that the mystics of all philosophies, all faiths, have found, right, in their own actions. So you can fast and find the truth and find the light. You can lock yourself away in a cave for 40 years and find the truth and find the light. You can meditate and clear your mind and find the truth and find the light. Or as I did, a layperson really, I did a combination of all of those things. And I found the light in 4 years, or 5 years rather than 40. But that's, I'm not going to suggest that I've beaten Moses to the light or anything. I think if you did it the way the ascetics did it, then it's going to last for the duration of your life. Like if you spent your time in a cave clearing your thoughts, clearing your desires, and clearing the emergent sort of thoughts that we get, the emergent intrusive thoughts, working through it all, then I believe you will have a lasting impression. But either way, even if it touches you for a moment, it's not just obviously seeing a bright light, it's something that illuminates your entire life, right? It's something that gives you perspective, right? Perspective is more important than knowledge, right? Because you can see something with the right perspective, you'll know more than many lifetimes of knowledge. If you were to go to space and see the Earth, you would know more than a lifetime of examination, let's see. And more than perspective also, it grants us guidance and a kind of belief in ourself, right? I'm not perfect, right? I'm flawed, I swear, right? I smoke cannabis, it's a medication, but I break the rules. I have, I've taken ecstasy, ketamine, mushrooms, LSD in order to break open this reality, suspecting that it isn't all that there is. And I found that that's correct. It isn't all that there is to be. And that spiritual faiths for all of time have always had a kind of esoteric element which finds the light, which goes against their kind of goes against the orthodoxy. Always the mystics, always a bizarre sect who live in the mountains, who are very, very nice. They're the more peaceable of the lot. So I'm thinking about the Druze people, I'm thinking about the Sufis, I'm thinking about the Gnostics. In every faith there's a mystical sect which has found the light, and orthodoxy refuses to accept that. So in Christianity there's the Gnosticism, and they find the light, have found the light. They found the light 2,000 years ago, but then they were whitewashed, right? And the record of them was nullified and destroyed. In Islam there is the Sufi and the Druze, and in Judaism there is the Kabbalah, right? In Hinduism there is the Tantra, right? In Buddhism there is the Vajrayana Buddhism. In every single spiritual faith there's a mystical aspect and element who have made their own rules, gone against the rules and the paradigm of the current day, of their peers in organised religion, in institutional religion. They broke the rules, and in so doing they found the light, which was the other side of a foundational construct which people erected over the top of the divine structures, the divine female structures of old, which tantric philosophy ties into, with Kali and Bhuvaneshwari and Chinnamasta. All female, sacred female gods, goddesses. We have to look into the historical environment, the historical landscape, as to where the myths might have emerged from. Because, in monotheism, the myths emerged from previously sculpted pantheistic myths. And also, every pantheism has a godhead, right? Brahma or Thor. It's not like the godhead was like a new thing. Monotheism's a new thing. No, monotheism took what was already there. There always was a godhead. So, break the rules, because the rules aren't gonna liberate you from what is. And do you even want to liberate from what is? Is it about conforming to what everyone else wants you to do? There's another path which hasn't been beaten down, and we have to find our own way through the thicket. But when we do, we find a beautiful kind of idyll in the middle of that thicket, a beautiful magical garden. And those of us believe in magic and use magic to make a better world, right? So I don't want institutionally religious people to consider magic as it's pagan, it's wrong. Realise you have the power to make the world in your vision. You have the world to create your own conditions, right, in your life. You have that power. Jesus had a power, and people don't want to call it magic because magic is associated with pagans. But Jesus was magical enough to feed 5,000 people, if that's not a metaphor, which I'm sure it probably is, or walk on water, which is probably a metaphor. But these things are either metaphorical or they're magic, or both. And no harm in that, right? We're just taught magic's bad, but enshrined in the religious codes is nothing to help you liberate. If we live in an illusory reality, we have to bear in mind that all the concepts that we experience, the icons that we see, right, have been reversed. The icons of liberation have been reversed into evil. The swastika, evil. The Holy Cross, right, is just the swastika, right? And that's evil. It's an evil sign. Philosophies are evil. Any philosophy that isn't institutional religion is evil. And the words that we have aren't enough to express our situation, right? If the reality that we exist in is an illusion, then the words that we have to express our situation, our condition, are never going to be enough to liberate. Words aren't enough. So we have to think our way out. Anything's possible. Don't limit yourself.